The Tornado version 3, in my opinion, is the best cube on the market, despite being released over a year ago, because I can't find anything that packs the same features as this cube at a lower price. And so there are many reasons why I think this cube is incredible, and maybe a couple of drawbacks. But in terms of performance, this cube is amazing. Coming from someone who has literally only ever used GAN cubes, this was the one thing that has made me switch. But why is that? Well, for me it is a combination of the extremely controllable turning and perfect level of flexibility. This means that it can suit pretty much any turning style because of how forgiving it is, whilst maintaining a consistent rigidity. You can probably tell that my turning is very blocky, and for me, a cube needs to be able to put up with how many mistakes I make, and that's what this cube does incredibly well. And it's the reason that I really like GAN cubes. Just the ability to turn without having to slow down in order to not lock up is one of the best things that a cube can do. But why now? I've had this cube for so long, and only now I've switched it out from GAN. Well, I got this just 1 month after I got the GAN 13, and at that point I had already got used to the feeling of that cube and didn't really want to change it after such a short period of time. So I put this one to the side, but after realizing that I needed something new, this cube was the best solution. Now, I've spoken about how this is similar to GAN cubes, but in reality the feeling is so different. Like I mentioned, the controllability is the most important thing, but when I found out that this was as stable as, if not more than, my old main, whilst being one of the nicest cubes to turn, it becomes obvious how perfect the X-Man Tornado is. I've always thought that GAN cubes aren't the nicest to turn, but this is something that I'm willing to sacrifice for controllability. Personally, the Diantangium version 1 has forever been my favourite cube, but I've never mained it for that exact reason. It's just too untrustworthy, and I'm not going to change my entire style just because I like the feeling of a cube. But when I found that this one had close to the same feeling, and I could trust it whilst turning at high speeds, I knew I had to switch. So moving on, here's a quick fire 5 things that I really like about the X-Man Tornado, but each one doesn't need an entire segment to itself. The unboxing is really nice, very simplistic and feels premium. You can adjust the tensions without the need for any tools. There are 3 different options for this cube, all of which are very good and more affordable than other cubes. This variant comes in UV coating, which is so much better to hold and turn. It's a good size, which is something that the V2 wasn't. And lastly, it has corner to core magnets, which further helps the stability. But this cube is a little bit older compared to some of the others on the market. So what are the alternatives, and why did I choose this over them in 2024? The obvious first one is the GAN 14, but that cube is just way too expensive. And I think that the change between the 13 and 14 isn't enough to switch. But okay then, what about the 13? Well, I mentioned earlier that this cube doesn't feel as good as the Tornado. Next we have the Moyu Super Weilong. Older Moyu cubes used to be great mid-range challengers, but now this new pricing is just ridiculous. I mean, I thought GAN were the only overpriced cubes, but not anymore. So what about a cheaper Weilong? Well, the WRM 2021, for example, is a good cube, but is nowhere near as controllable as the Tornado, which is likely due to not having corner-to-core magnets. The YS3M and Mortri Tianma could also be good alternatives, but they are both a little bit too clacky for my liking, and the lack of adjustable magnets is one of their biggest downfalls. If you think that I've missed any big cubes, then let me know in the comments. But now, in the interest of being fair, here are some of the potential drawbacks of the Tornado. Just coming from a GAN cube, a feature that I would like to see is being able to adjust the core magnets. And by that, I don't mean having changeable rods to insert, because that's really annoying, but more so how in the GAN 13 you can adjust how far the magnet goes from the corner piece, and that is a great way of getting more controllability. Another thing is that whilst it has good corner cutting, and really good cutting compared to the previous version of this cube, it does occasionally get a weird catch, which is not great. This might just be my model, but it does happen a couple of times within a session, which isn't ideal. And I mean, if I'm being really picky on this cube, I don't like how annoying the center caps are to take off. But that's such a small thing, so it doesn't really matter. Another slight issue is that due to this version having maglev within the core, I sometimes get situations where I overshoot a turn because of how frictionless the layer is. For some reason, this is more apparent on H-perms than any other algorithms, but it is something to consider, and I might even recommend the cheaper flagship version, as it uses a spring, not repelling magnets, and would therefore not have this issue. If you have tried this cube, then let me know what you think in the comments. Make sure to leave a like, and thank you very much for watching.